the offense will always be fine. It doesn't matter how many picks he throws or how many mistaken passes he does. Patrick Mahomes them into a victory. So I still see them as a playoff team, but I'm not sure they're a like AFC championship or Super Bowl contending team because of the defense.
Okay. CJ?
I once again kind of agree with Justin, but I'm a bit more skeptical. And where Justin, says he believes in Andy Reid, let me be perfectly frank. I don't. This is
You don't?
not. No, I don't, Justin. This is not Andy Reid's team. It's Mahomes' team. Look at Andy Reid throughout the years. Look at
Yeah.
him bumble. Look at him just mess up chance after chance to do something. And make no mistake, this is Patrick Mahomes carrying the team, not Andy Reid. Sometimes, dare I say, with Andy Reid's poor clock management, sometimes I would say Mahomes wins in spite of Andy Reid.
Okay.
But that's an argument for another day. But with that level of talent they have on offense, I wouldn't be too concerned. But make no mistake, the Chiefs are in a very fragile spot. If this Mahomes injury is serious, which we hear it's not, they could be doomed. If Kelsey gets hurt, they're gonna miss him. If Tyreek gets hurt, that's gonna be huge. They have this big power three on offense, where if one of them gets hurt, I'm not very thrilled about their possibilities. And their defense, of course, couldn't stop a light breeze to save their life. So, but by the divine grace of Patrick Mahomes, they'll probably be fine. If we're in like week 9 or 10 and they're still struggling, then I would say it's time to panic. But until now, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Maybe Mahomes can, pull another win out of where.
All right. I gotta say, Justin, he's right. You know,
What?
this is Patrick Mahomes' team. It is.
What? Okay.
Andy Reid is a very good coach. He's not a great coach to the point where he's coaching to the point where it's just the team is just barnstorming the NFL and just beating team after team after team. That's Mahomes' work. And he has some good weapons as well. And they had a defense last year. Now this year, this defense can't even stop a nosebleed. And on top of that, Patrick Mahomes is committing turnovers. The offensive line has not gelled thus far so far this year, and understandably so because they're just throwing together a new group of characters.
Hmm.
And sure, of course, they have some talent there. They traded for Orlando Brown. They invested in Joe Thuney, who's one of the best guards in the league. They brought it. They brought in a former Hall of Fame center, or sorry, they brought in an what's it? They brought in a former All Pro center, but it just hasn't worked out so far. And with all of the, and on top of this, I'm starting to see a little bit of a formula here where you double team Kelsey and you limit Tyreek Hill's ability to throw the deep ball, and the Chiefs won't be able to do much else. They're not as explosive when they create that formula. And you're seeing it in the production of Travis Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is very inconsistent now. He's either his usual self or he's doing very little to nothing. Same with Travis Kelsey, very inconsistent so far this year. And it's reflecting in the record and in Mahomes' performance. So I've got to say, I don't really see, and I didn't see them as a Super Bowl team going into this year because I thought they'd have a Super Bowl hangover. I didn't think it would be this bad, but I don't see them as a Super Bowl team. They'll pull it together and make the playoffs, but it'll be a wild card.
Listen and listen good. I am not getting into the Andy Reid stuff tonight. That is a headache I am not willing to die on. That is number one. Number two, this offense, when it has a bye week, will figure out sooner or later they will. come together and be the explosive team they always have been. I don't know when their bye week is, but when that happens and they start to have explosions on offense, and it's not like they're not having them now. They blew out the teams they're supposed to. They're just struggling with the good teams right now. That's it. Once they figure out the defense and gives the offense more opportunities, then yeah, I don't really see a problem here. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't you find it a little alarming that they're losing to playoff teams? Look, if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best, and they're losing to every team over 500 except for Cleveland, who they barely escaped from.
I
Don't
was
you're not saying that's not even a wee bit concerning?
It's concerning from the standpoint of yes, they're losing to good teams, but outside of the Titans, the other games were considerably close. Outside of their defense that is holding them back, they put up 35 against whatchamacallit. They put up 35 against the Ravens and lost. They put up, I want to say 24, 27 or 24 around against the Chargers and lost. These games are not on the offense, it's on the defense. And I'll admit, Patrick Mahomes needs to slow down on the interceptions there, bucko. He needs to calm it down with all of that. But until then, this team is going to struggle. But I believe in the bye week, he'll knock it off with the interceptions, return to form, and they'll be just fine. But we are
Also,
not
see,
going to argue about Andy Reid. That is just not happening tonight.
CJ, I just want to just take a step back real quick. Before you just last spoke, did you just raise your hand to ask to
Yes,
speak?
yes, he did.
He
I did that
realizes it's
out
a
of
free country. You can just
No,
you
I
can
mean,
just
I
speak.
did that out of excitement, not out of because I heard Justin say something. I don't remember what. I'm like, oh, hold on, I gotta get my 2 cents in. All right, yeah, just that was just the excitement getting over me. What's it called there? I don't know. New person, scared nervousness. I don't know.
Like,
Rookie
look,
mistake.
Justin, your point is valid. You know, this team's going to figure out, and they're going to make the playoffs. And honestly, I don't think right of really much of a valid argument to try and say that they will miss the playoffs yet. But the point is, I just don't see them as a Super Bowl team. Their offense will be explosive. The big question is, will it be enough to overcome their flaws right now? And I don't think it is.
Okay, so my thing is this: who in the AFC do you see as the clear-cut favorite to win the Super Bowl? And if you say the Bills, clearly you didn't see the Titans game.
In the AFC, I think it's the Bills.
Why?
Why?
Like
Because
why?
I think the Titans are a very good team and they can beat any team during the regular season at any given moment. I just think when it's the moment that matters most for the Titans, they're going to melt. And I think based on last year and this year, the the Buffalo Bills, when all the chips are on the table, they will be able to answer the call and make it to the AFC Championship and beat. And I gave my preseason pick before, and
Browns. The
they're
Browns.
gonna beat the Cleveland Browns.
Okay. Clearly Adam was on drugs when he made that pick. Anyway, I it can be the Bills, it can be the Bengals, it can be the Ravens, it can be the Titans, it can be the Chargers, it can be anybody in the AFC out of those
Yeah,
five
that's
teams.
right.
That's how
I
tough
mean,
this conference is right now. There's no clear-cut favorite.
And
yeah, I'm
that's
with
another
Justin. It's
reason.
way I'm sorry. I was
Yeah,
just
keep
gonna
going.
say I just think it's way too close to call. That's what I was gonna say, like originally, but I mean, yeah, I'm not discounting the Chiefs. I think they have some real issues to fix. But when it comes to the AFC as a whole, I mean, think about it. The Titans are prone to melt at any moment, according to you, but they also beat the Bills and they beat the Chiefs. That equation makes no sense, I tell you. And like Justin said, it's way too close to call. I really do. There's really no clear-cut answer as it stands now.
Yeah, I was about to say everybody has their faults. The Bills don't really have a run game. It's suspect. The Ravens have 20 people on IR. That's not helpful. The Titans are the Titans who are too reliant on the run game and can't get a consistent pass game going. Like who else? The Bengals, we're not really sure about them yet. I mean, there's no clear-cut favorite.
Right, but I think there's no clear-cut favorite in the sense that this team is this conference is incredibly talented this year, and the
Competitive.
competition is yeah, and the competition is just so great. Uh,
Hmm.
but you know, I just think these teams are all better than the Chiefs right now. And even if they figure things out, there's probably a lot of teams that I would pick over them. I'd pick the Buffalo Bills over them. They ate their lunch a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about them as the clear-cut favorite earlier on. Remember, I posted that Fumblerooski fan box. Everybody was saying outside of the Cardinals, they were all saying the Bills were the team to beat,
I don't know why.
and the Cardinals are in the NFC. Well, I'm telling you that this Bills team, I have them as going into the Super Bowl. I've said it. I'll say it again.
All
But
right,
anyways,
that's fine.
we we do need to move on. That was a very solid segment, but we're going to go on to our game of the week. Um, it was a back and forth game between the Falcons and Dolphins. You won't want to miss this. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. Welcome back. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. I'm here with Justin and CJ. We are talking about some football. And so what we have right now is our Fumblerooski game of the week, which was the Falcons versus the Dolphins. So basically what happened in this game is that the Falcons jumped out to a 20-7 lead by early in the third quarter, and from then on until like the very end of the game, the Dolphins outscored the Falcons 21-8 and took a 28-27 lead with just under 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. And so on the final drive, Matt Ryan led the Falcons offense into field goal position thanks to two 25 plus yard grabs by Kyle Pitts. They get into field goal position. They set up. Young Hoku hits the 36-yard field goal as time expires. Falcons win it. So, boys, thoughts on this game?
Well, where do we begin? Well, the Falcons looked solid coming out into the game. They got into a huge lead, but then, as they always do, Falcons are going to Falcon themselves and give up big leads like they always do. And somehow, some way, the Dolphins found themselves with a 28-27 lead going into the fourth. And then young Koku came in and said, "Not today, fellas. We're not going to lose this game," and kicks the game-winning field goal, and the rest is history. Congratulations to the Falcons on getting a close victory. I've always questioned them about that. Luckily, they were able to get the job done. Congrats.
So my question is, will the Falcons ever be able to hold a lead and not have some sort of nail biter come to the end? I mean, what is wrong with them? Are they like incapable of holding a lead? Is Matt Ryan cursed? What's the issue?
Ever since
2016.
that Super Bowl, they haven't been the same, have they?
Nope.
I I would argue so, yes. But I mean, this, I mean, I'm not gonna, this is hard, but I'm not gonna fault the Dolphins too much. I mean, they came back from the brink, but the Falcons woke up just in the nick of time and saved themselves. Young Wei Koo's kind of, a top five kicker, but we don't talk about that.
Hmm.
But I mean, I don't know what to say other than Falcons, you almost falconed again. And I just wish they blew the lead so I could make fun of them a bit more, but alas,
Hmm.
such is not to be.
Not this week.
So I posted my review on this game on the podcast page on Instagram. So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, go and look at it. It's worth the read. So basically, this is a heartbreaking loss for the Dolphins, as they now quickly move to 1-6 before the season having playoff aspirations. And Tua Tagovailoa, amidst all of these Tua, amidst all of these questions about his future in Miami, he played his heart out, throwing for more than 290 yards and for 4 touchdowns. Granted, 2 interceptions. 9 would be bad, but
very bad.
It really just sucks for the Dolphins that their playoff hopes have just went away just like that. But as for the Falcons, this is huge for them, as they got off to a pretty rough start, and they really didn't even have playoff hopes, but now they kind of do. They finally get to 500. They're 3-3. I'm not sure who they're facing next week. I'll have to check that. But going back up to 3-3, they have 2 very solid options for Matt Ryan with Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts, and let's not forget about Russell Gage, and Cordero Patterson has started to show up. Now, granted, their defense isn't really great. Their secondary kind of blows, but they do have a good run defense, and Matt Ryan is showing out and helping this team win games. So I'll look up the Atlanta Falcons schedule here. All right, so here we go. So what they have is, so they beat the Dolphins. They have the Saints next, so that'll be a big game. Then they have the Patriots, Buccaneers, 49ers, Bills. Jesus Christ. They certainly kept themselves in position right now, but it's not looking too good. So we'll see. The Saints is a winnable game. The Patriots is a winnable game. Once you get to the Buccaneers, 49ers, they can win. So they need to win 3 of these next 4 games. The Bills is not really a winnable game. After that, they have the Panthers. That's a winnable game. We're not even, there's no slam dunks with this team, because we never really had playoff hopes for this team to begin with, but there's a lot of winnable games for them. So now this is our pick for game of the week. I know it's not the sexiest of matchups, considering it's Miami and Atlanta. One of them had playoff hopes, and then those were quickly crushed. The other is they got to 500. They're in the playoff hunt, but we can't really expect them to get there. But this was probably the most entertaining matchup of this week, in a week that was really filled with blowouts. I was texting Justin a little bit during the 1:00 games, and I was following the Bengals-Ravens game, which had some storylines behind it. If it were to stay competitive, I was like, wow, like they were trading leads early on in the first half. It was entertaining. I was just following it on my phone while I was watching my Patriots play. And then the bottom fell out, and I checked my phone, and at one point, and I'm pretty sure it got to a point where the Bengals hung like 40 on them, and the Ravens only stayed at about in the 20s. And then I texted Justin. I was like, I think we have our candidate for game of the week. And then I sent another text about an hour later. I was like, never mind.
I blame you for that. Because you had to say something. You had to open up your mouth and say we might have a game of the week. And then it was 17-13, and then he says that, and we lose 41-17. So you're part of the reason I blame that.
Possibly, if you believe in the conspiracy, or sorry, the superstitions. But it wasn't a very competitive week by any means necessary. If we're picking Falcons, Dolphins, granted it was a good game, but come on. I really wanted that game to be the game of the week. I really did.
I wanted it too, but mm, move
All right.
on.
Yeah. Sure thing. Sure thing. All right. So anyways, we're going to move on. So have we do have some rumors going around, some juicy rumors about the Deshaun Watson issue and his whole deal. So there've been there's been rumors swirling all off season up until now, and that could be coming to a head soon. We'll talk about a little bit about that in depth. So stay tuned. You won't want to miss this. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 Dean Radio. I'm Adam Wright alongside Justin Tucker here with CJ Medeiros as well as a guest speaker. And so right now, according to insider Justin Ramos, also the Houston Chronicle, the Dolphins and Texans have a deal in place for Deshaun Watson. However, they are waiting on legal issues to play out. So I'm going to be honest. I was not really wanting to talk about Deshaun Watson, given that we talked this to death over the offseason. If you guys have been following us all through the offseason, you guys know that we talked about the Deshaun Watson rumors a lot during a lot of our episodes, a huge load of them. And nothing ever wound up happening. And we were just like, Jesus, is anything ever going to happen? And, so we see some new rumors coming out and we're like, ugh, is something actually going to happen? Or is this going to be another one of those things where there's just noise and then it just quiets down for the next 6 months? But anyways, so guys, do we see Deshaun Watson finally being traded anytime soon?
Uh, I've been hoping he's been traded, but as of right now, no, not until the case is fully settled, which might take a while. Hopefully, the situation is handled with maturity and the respect it deserves. But until that situation is handled, I don't see him moving because he should have been moved by now if everybody really wanted him. But they're just waiting on the case to be settled. And so I don't see him moving quite yet.
Yeah, the Miami owner Stephen Ross said that it's his legal issues that's the only reason why Miami hasn't pulled the trigger. However, this is a report from Bleacher Report or BR Gridiron, their Instagram page here. Roger Goodell himself says that the NFL still has not made a decision on Deshaun Watson, how they'll handle it, with Goodell saying, and I quote, "We don't feel that we have the necessary information to place him on the exempt list."
And he might be right.
So do with that what you will.
And he might be right. I mean, unfortunately, the way it works, there's really, unless they find like actual legit, like I'm talking Kareem Hunt type stuff where you literally see a video of something happening, there's no way they're going to be able to really do anything, unfortunately, regardless of whether anything happened or not. And it seems like it's only a matter of time before he's cleared up, and then the trade rumors will start. Then it'll get to a point on whether or not Houston is willing to give him up, because Houston didn't want to trade him in the first place. And then right after they said they didn't want to trade him, these rumors came up suspiciously.
Mm-hmm.
So and Deshaun, like the whole thing is a massive bleep show, and I just want it to end. Deshaun Watson is on the football side of things is such a sexy name. that I would love to see on, I think would look great in Dolphins colors. And I just want to see something happen, whether or not he's found guilty, whether he's found guilty and he goes to jail, or he winds up traded to another team, or if he winds up with the Texans, back with the Texans. But I want something to happen. I'm sick of this. It's getting annoying. Like, we're just hearing all this noise for the past 9 months, and nothing has happened.
Yeah.
It's just getting on my nerves. I didn't want to talk about this today. If I'm talking about Deshaun Watson, I don't want to talk about rumors anymore. I want to see this stuff happen.
Yeah, nothing's happening. No action is happening.
No action.
Yeah, and frankly, you can blame the Texans because even before all his legal issues came out, Watson, said that he wanted out of Houston. And because the McNair family, who runs the Texans, are a bunch of incompetent bunglers, they said, we can get a haul for a franchise player who wants out. You know what? Let's sit on this and keep him angry. I mean, and I know you guys are upset about all the rumors where how there's all smoke and no fire, but you know what? Blame the McNairs. All right, that's who we should blame because they literally said they do not want to trade him, and now they're probably gonna. So if you want a finger to point at, point the finger at the McNair family, and I think we all know which finger we're going to be pointing at him. Ain't that right, Adam?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right, Justin.
Uh-huh.
Justin
Oh,
knows
wait,
that finger pretty well.
Do you want to see Deshaun Watson in the AFC East, Adam?
I think it would make for a pretty competitive it would make a very competitive AFC East with Josh Allen in there, Deshaun Watson in there, Mac Jones, the young buck coming up. There's obviously the Jets being, the Jets. That doesn't matter, but besides that, it'd be pretty nice. But
I don't want that. I mean, as a Patriots fan, I don't want that. You know what? And I've said this,
I think it would be
Adam,
cool.
Adam, before I joined, I've said this. I want him to go to Carolina. That's where I want him to go. Because Darnold looks like he's hit a wall all of a sudden. So,
Yeah.
hey, Watson, McCaffrey coming back, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. Now, that would be special.
Carolina would be a great fit. I just think Miami's also a fit, and they've been the most invested in it in a trade ever since this has happened. But anyways, what I was saying is, it frustrates me to no end that they were willing to trade Deshaun Watson. Sorry, they were willing to trade DeAndre Hopkins for pocket change. They were willing to trade what's his name? They were willing to trade
Dwayne Brown.
J.J. Watt for a bag of chips.
Just cut him though.
Maybe they
trade
cut
him.
him.
They cut him.
They cut him.
Exactly.
They cut Whitney Merciless. They cut Lamar Miller, and then they traded other guys like Bernardrick McKinney as well. And they let Will Fuller walk in free agency. And they literally traded their only good defender left in Bradley Roby this offseason to the Saints for pocket change.
They were willing to do all of this, but they can't. But they can't trade Deshaun Watson. Why not just if they're gonna trade all these pieces away? Why not just strip this thing down to the bone? Why are you holding your franchise quarterback hostage? Why are you keeping him around and not holding on to all the other guys who probably would have kept you competitive and quite frankly probably would have kept Deshaun Watson from wanting to leave in the first place?
Hey, like I said, the answer lies with the McNair family and their new puppet, Nick Caserio. So, and that one guy, Jack Easterby, who works in the Texans. I don't know what he does, but I know the Houston people don't like him. So, when it comes to Easterby, Caserio, and the McNair family, they're just the three stooges when it comes to handling Deshaun Watson, aren't they?
Poverty franchise. That's all I have to say. Poverty franchise. They just continue to do stupid things. And Deshaun Watson deserves better. unless he doesn't, and it turns out he actually did all the stuff he's accused of, which, I mean, with 22 cases, I mean, Jesus. But anyways, we were looking at that through a football perspective, not off the field. So anybody who's hears us talking about Watson's talent, we are not talking about what he is off the field. If it turns out he has assaulted people, then we hate that guy. We're just talking about assuming that this man is not guilty. And we have no idea as to if he is or not, and we are not making a comment on whether he is or not. We're just three guys talking about football. But anyways, just thought I would make that clarification. We are going to move on to our fan box segment. And we were talking a little bit about the Kansas City Chiefs, and we will hear from you guys about what you guys think of the Kansas City Chiefs. That is next here on the Fumblerooski podcast. This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 Dean Radio. So I am Adam Wright with Justin Tucker, CJ Medeiros. We are reaching towards the end of our show, and you know what that means. We are on to our Fumblerooski fan box. So we will post a question box every Monday, and you can respond with hot takes, questions, and more, and we will discuss it and give you a shout out on our podcast. Respond to next week's fan box question to be featured on our show. Now, without further ado, our question of the week was, how are the Chiefs going to do for the rest of the season? So we talked about this a little bit ourselves and debated how we think the Chiefs will fare through the remainder of the year, given they are struggling. And I thought I would hear from you guys. So without further ado, big_T_52, he says, not going to make the playoffs.
Ooh, that's strong.
Early for that.
It's way too early. They're only 3-4. If they were like the Dolphins being like 1-6, I'd be like, damn, they're going to miss. I wouldn't rule it out, but it's highly unlikely. They're going to figure things out.
Yep.
But anyways, Patrick Wooliver 22 said, still a playoff team. I think that's something that the three of us can all agree on. We all think they're going to be a playoff team. But anyways, Mal the Golf Gal says, and all in quotations, 10-7, period. So no, period, 10-7, period. Wild card spot, period. Loses first round, period. Crushed, period. So I love the grammar.
Solid.
But 10-7, wild card spot, loses first round. So we thought that they were going to pull it together. Do you think it's going to be to this point, or do you think they'll be a little bit better than that?
I think 11-6.
11-6. CJ?
Yeah, 11-6, 10-7, something like that.
It's around there. They'll be in the wild card spot and maybe wild card division round. I think that we can all agree on that. So Grayson Mortimer said third in the division. So he didn't specify whether or not they're going to make the playoffs, just third, which, by the way, is actually where they stand right now. So do you think it stays that way?
No, don't trust the Raiders right now.
Better than the Raiders, at least. Probably, I don't know.
We'll finish
Raiders are very inconsistent.
They'll finish second.
The Raiders have been good lately. Like, they've been good lately. They've faced a little bit of a slump, but they kind of got right this past week. Granted, it was against the Eagles, but still.
I say let's see them play the Chiefs, and we'll see what happens. Let's play it by ear.
And Derek Carr statistically still looks like a solid quarterback. I mean, I still don't see him up there with the elites, but earlier on this year he was an MVP candidate. At least he was starting to look like it. Sarah Finnemore said, they will suck like always.
Okay.
Always? Since when was that? Like 2011?
So before I begin, this is my girlfriend, and she responded with this. She just doesn't like the Chiefs. She doesn't like Patrick Mahomes. I tried to tell her, I'm like, I
Better than
respect Patrick
Patriots quarterback.
Mahomes. The Chiefs are a good team. She goes, no, they suck. Kind of more in a half joking manner, but I mean, we can't really take this seriously unless they actually end up being this sucky for the rest of the year. You know, if they finish below 500, then yeah, they suck, especially with the amount of talent they have. But anyways, a familiar face, Sean Howe, 93, who's been on our show quite a few times, said, missed the playoffs by a game or two.
Nah, they'll make it by a game or two.
It could go either way.
It's a little, excuse me, it's a little early to sort of be able to tell, but I would say that odds are stacked against that possibility that will happen. I think they will make the playoffs, but I mean, like I said, I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, they are slumping, and if they don't figure it out, or if they do figure it out and kind of end up being really streaky, they could find themselves on the outside looking in. In fact, they are there right now. They're not in the playoffs right now. But anyways, Ryan DeLongchamp said they're going to figure it out and be a be a wild card team.
Yeah.
That seems to be the sort of popular opinion here. But yeah, I think they're going to figure it out. Like they're going to figure it out at some point and end up winning enough games to sneak in there. They may not be that good, and they may not make it deep, but they'll get there. But Anthony Gill said, Chargers win the division, but Chiefs will lock a wild card spot. So we've talked about the Raiders not being for real, but I think we can all agree that the Chargers are.
Yeah.
And that's a team that I think that team's gonna win the division this year. And the Chiefs will end up with a wild card spot. You say it's pretty good opinion. What do you think?
I agree. I think they will win the division.
Yeah, it's just they just look better. They kind of look a little bit like the Chiefs did when in the past couple of years. Maybe not quite to that extent, but they look a little bit like it. Explosive offense, explosive quarterback. Their defense has improved, which is important. But anyways, do we have it, guys? Do we have so that concludes our Fumblerooski's fan box segment. But before we end the show, do we have any other thoughts?
I'm so happy the Ravens are on a bye week this week. I am so happy.
Yeah. After a loss like that.
Shut up. Okay?
I thought we actually
have Super Bowl aspirations. Unlike some, we actually do have Super Bowl aspirations.
Hey, Mac Jones will run at his own pace. Just it's okay. Take your time. It's like that rock that was.
No. We all have Super Bowl aspirations. It's just how real they are.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that rock that was racing in SpongeBob, where like Patrick patting it. His name was Rocky. It's like it's okay, Rocky. Take your time.
And Rocky won. Let's never forget.
Rocky won. He did. So Mac Jones, he's gonna win. He's gonna win the Super Bowl, win league MVP. He's gonna.
Okay. Let's calm that down. Baby step it first. Let him win Rookie of the Year, which is going to Jamar Chase.
Yeah, after what he did to the Bengals, I'm not surprised.
Listen. Y'all got one more if I actually hit this red button right here.
All right. Anyways, that all?
Yep, that's all.
All right. Well, that will do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Spotify, Spreaker, and Google Podcast. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Over and out.